Hey everybody, this is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. Thanks for joining me again for another one of my weekly Uncopyable Business videos. A few weeks ago, I ran a survey of you guys, of my BFFs, that was kind of a marketing survey where I went out and I asked a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch of questions, I asked 4 simple questions, all right? Now, the first 2 were multiple choice questions where I said, in the first question I asked, how would you rate yourself on success of using these marketing tools? Okay, and I had a drop down, or I had a list of quite a few tools, and I understand that it was quite a few tools. So let me adjust this so it just. It's okay to cut part of the top of your head off. You don't want to. You don't want to cut. You don't want to be doing this when you're recording. Little video recording tip here. Okay, no charge. Something a little different for this week. So, ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 7 on these tools, on how well you are using these tools, if you are using them at all. And then the second question was, going back to the same list, which of these would you like to learn more about? And asked you to weight them in priority of your top 5, okay, going from number 1 to number 5, obviously. And I want to talk about the results here a little bit today. So let me bring up the first question here. Okay, here we go. There it is. This is why I'm sitting way over here, is so that I can, I can put the, I can put like the full thing on there, because you can see, my first question was on a scale of 1 to 7, how would you rate yourself in each of these? And so here are the rankings from top to bottom of the ones that you said you're really good. I got to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. As you can see, the top one is customer retention, right there. That's the top one. Is that you say that this is the one of all the tools that you said you are the best at. Now, before I go any further with this, I think it's important to point out that I asked this on a scale of 1 to 7, which is the scale that I prefer to ask myself. It's not quite as complicated as 1 to 10, and it's a little bit more, gives a little bit more information than doing a 1 to 5 type of scale. But you'll notice that the 7 is down. See, look down here at the bottom right, and you'll see here's the 7 line, right? I don't even have it highlighted, but I will do that. Okay, so here's the 7 line, which is the top of the scale, and then I've got 6 marked here, and 4 here, and 2 here. And so if we look at the customer retention one, it looks like it's approximately, if we look at this, that means that you guys are rating yourselves at approximately 5.7, something like that, 5.67, 5.8, something like that. And then it drops down to the next one, which is differentiating your company from the competition, innovation, branding, your branding proposition, being uncopyable, competitive strategy, and then trade show marketing. And I'm stopping there. And the reason I'm stopping there is because trade show marketing, as you'll notice, is right on that 4.0. Okay, right here. It's right on that 4.0. Well, okay, 1 to 7. 4 is okay. It would be considered to be like average or something like that. Nothing special, not terrible, right? So now when we look at this, what we've got here is that there are only 6 of these that are above average, and until you get to customer retention, the other ones really aren't even. They're not off the chart great, are they? That what I'm hearing is that the problems are that we're not super great at differentiating our company, innovation, branding proposition, or being uncopyable. But here's something also that's interesting, is that it drops down. See, trade show marketing here, trade show marketing, okay, is actually the first actual tactic in here. All right, retention, differentiation, innovation, branding, being uncopyable, competitive. These are all strategies. These are all part of your strategy. And so, I kind of cheated a little bit. I kind of made this a little bit of a trick question because I just wanted to see how you looked at these things from a scale of 1 to 7 of how you felt you were doing with this stuff. And you'll notice that we have to go down to trade show marketing and even before we get to an actual tool. And it is interesting that you do rate yourselves the highest of all the tools, all the actual tools themselves. That trade show marketing is the one that you rate yourselves the highest on. And so the question is that if once we start getting down below 4, where we're getting into this, all of these down here, and then even those that are dropping quite a bit down below 4, which I would say, you get down into kind of, let me see if I can do this range down in here. Then we're all basically saying that we're really not very good at these things if we're using them. If you weren't using them, then of course it's not included in this study here. So and one of the other interesting things was that of the no, we're not using these, of the people who responded with not applicable to the tools, it stands to reason that like podcasting, for example, podcasting was the number one. We don't use podcasting. Okay, and about half of you, a little less than half of you, said that you don't use podcasting, which actually I'm a little surprised because if that means the rest of you are using podcasting in some way. But I was also very surprised that autoresponders was the second one that you said you don't use, and webinars was the third one you don't use. Video marketing tends to be kind of in the webinar area too. These are really powerful tools. These 4 at the bottom. Now I'll take podcasting out of it right away. But if you think in terms of webinars, video marketing, and autoresponders, and I got to say, especially autoresponders. Why aren't you using autoresponders? You should be using autoresponders. So this is how you rated yourself. So now let's take a look at what you're saying you want to learn more about, and let me see if I can take this out, and we're going to go back to this one and go. There we go. So now you can see the whole thing here. So now here, and this is not on a scale of 1 to 7 or anything like that. This is just kind of a weighted bar chart of how you guys responded that from top to bottom of what you wanted to learn more about. So now let's look at this and let's see what's interesting about this. All right, is that certainly right there at the top, we have social media marketing as your number one thing that you want to learn more about. I'll get back to that here in a second. But then we get into the next, I believe it's the next 5, where it's these: lead generation, differentiation from the competition, being uncopyable, which is a kind of an advanced version of being different from the competition. Customer retention, which even though it was number 1 in the in how you felt you were doing, still really, really important, right? And innovation. So now let's think about this for a second. Let's go back to Peter Drucker, who was kind of the godfather of modern management theory, modern management practice today. And Peter Drucker said a couple of things. One, he said, was the purpose of a business is to create a customer. Those were his exact words. The purpose of a business is to create a customer. So if we look at these, what we are saying in here is lead generation is creating a customer, right? So from my perspective, and I think Peter Drucker just nails it right there when he says the purpose of business is to create a customer. The backup to that, or the corollary, I don't know what you call it. The back of that would be then to keep a customer, right? So it makes sense that we should really, really be paying a lot of attention to lead generation and customer retention. And in fact, those should be the top parts of our strategy, is how do we create new customers? How do we create current customers? So then you start asking yourself, okay, that's what we want to do. What tools should we use to make that happen? And then we get down into, and you can see here we've got email marketing, we got direct marketing, advertising, all the way down. So it bears the question: what is the best tool for us to use to generate new leads and to retain customers? What is the best, the number one best tool? What is the second best tool? What is the third best tool? What are those tools that are the best ones for us to use? And the answer is very, very simple. And I will I will kind of play with the answer by putting it in terms that I heard when it came to photography. That I noticed in a lot of photography forums, not because I'm that interested in photography, but I just kind of go out and study different areas, right? Stealing genius as much as I possibly can. One question that I noticed a lot was, which camera is best for me? Which camera is the best to use? And that's the same question as asking, which marketing tool is the best to use? Which camera is the best to use? And the best answer I ever heard, which came out of a number of experts in the forums, was the camera you will use. That's the best camera to use. And if that camera is your smartphone, well, then that's the best camera for you. Same thing applies with marketing and marketing tools. Is that when excuse me, I got to turn off a notification here that I've got. Get rid of that. Anyway, that which marketing tool is the best one for us to use, and it's the one that we will use and the one that works best for us. Okay, so that brings me back to the question of that the highest rated tool on this list that you all want to learn about is social media marketing. All right, and I am going to challenge you on that. I'm going to challenge you on a couple of things. Number one is I'm going to challenge that that's the best tool of all this list. I think that the reason why the vast majority of companies out there think that they should learn more about social media marketing, and I am not discounting the value of social media marketing, but what I am saying is that the vast majority of us who are saying we want to learn more about social media marketing are saying that because we're hearing that that's what we should be doing. We're thinking that, well, it's free, we should be on board with that. That everybody's into social media these days, so we should be into social media these days. That's fine. That's fine if you can do that and you can do it really, really well. But here's the issue that I have. I think there are other tools in this list that, number one, are easier for you to use, They are more effective for you to use. They don't have to be expensive. Now, I'm not discounting that some of these are expensive, like trade shows, for example, are very expensive. But any and every marketing tool that we use must stand on trial for its life and earn its way. Social media is not free. It is actually probably as expensive, if not more expensive than the others do, when it comes to the amount of time necessary to really, really make it work. And social media, just like any other tool, I put social media marketing, social media advertising right next to trade show marketing. That when you go to a trade show, you should get an ROI, a measurable, meaningful, relevant ROI. Social media, you should get a measurable, relevant, meaningful ROI. Now, if it's why go out and try to do something that, number one, you're not going to be that great at. Number two, there's a long learning curve. It's not that easy to use. And number three, there are other tools that are better. See, the bottom line is, where do the moose hang out? That's really the bottom line. Where do the moose hang out where it would be easy to reach them? And I think there are a lot of other tools in here that are much easier to use than social media advertising. So the bottom line of my whole message here today is, and I understand this is a little bit longer message this week, but I think this is really important. Bottom line is that, going back to my buddy Peter Drucker, he said the purpose of business is to create a customer. But then he said, and the purpose of the business execution, the two number one components, that's pretty funny. I'm going to say that again. The two number one components that every business should be focusing on primarily are marketing and innovation, because those are what help create and keep long-term customers. Create customers and keep customers. So, look at the tools that you're using right now. Are you using too many tools? Are you spreading yourself too thin? See, I think we would be much better off picking out 2 or 3 tools. Maybe trade shows are one. Maybe webinars might be a second one. Video marketing might be a second one. Email marketing would be one. Direct marketing might be one. But get really, really good at using 2 or 3 tools before you start looking out and expanding too much. Don't spread yourself too thin. I think there are a lot of companies out there who kind of jump around using different types of tools rather than getting really, really, really good at 1 or 2, maybe 3 different tools. Second thing is to revisit some of these tools on this list. And I will use autoresponders as an example in there, that autoresponders can be a very, very powerful tool for you. And autoresponders, that means it's automatic, is that once you've set them up, they're automatic. So they help to create those leads. They help to get people to raise their hands and say, yeah, we want to talk to you about your business. So here it is today. And it just so happens, for those of you that are watching this week, I am going to be doing kind of an office, I've been doing these live office hours now for a while, and I'm kind of doing a twist on the office hours because I just announced it today, but in 3 days, on Thursday, I'm doing what I call my kind of pop-up webinar because I'm just popping this thing up. And I'm going to be talking about lead generation, and what I think to be, and the title of it is 10, great ways to generate new leads. And I'm going to talk about 10 tools to use, but I'm also going to talk about which ones I think are the best for you to use, whether you're B2B or B2C or something like that, and how you can be more successful using those. So I'm going to have a link in here that you can sign up. It's free to attend this week. If you are watching this after I've had that program, then I will probably have a replay. I will probably have it set up to where you can go watch the replay of it later on, and we'll see how that goes. So anyway, number 1, lead generation is king. Filling your funnel is king. Keeping customers is king. That's right. And it doesn't matter what tool you use, and you don't have to use the latest shiny object all the time, and you don't have to invest a ton of time into doing a whole bunch of different things if you can get really, really good at just a couple of tools that really make it work for you. That's my message. It's Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's Dad and Marketing Gunslinger. Sign up for my pop-up webinar using the link below. And like I say, it's free. The replay will be available. And then I'll be back again next week with another uncopyable business video. Like I said, Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's Dad and Marketing Gunslinger. Thanks again for joining me this week. And like I always say, be uncopyable. See you next week.